Okay, so we've made this next cake before. It is very synonymous with when you have Lunar New Year, you have this Nian Gao, you have this Nian Gao. The reason is because I've told you before that during New Year, you tend to eat foods that are homophones that sound alike to things that are prosperous. So essentially for this cake, it sounds very much like each year or this year you get higher, you get better, you improve on things, and so that's why people eat it. And it's a very basic, simple cake. It's usually just it's water, sugar, glutinous rice flour, and you steam it. But this version is a Malaysian version, which usually it's sweeter. That usually there's more sugar in it. It uses burnt sugar, like a burnt caramel. So it's going to provide kind of a difference in flavor that way. People can put pandan leaves in it to flavor the cake. And everything is steamed in a can with banana leaves. Like this one looks much nicer in presentation because it's within a banana leaf. You can stick like a red ribbon around it, which is what we're going to be doing today. So it's really nice to give as gifts and to get it. And so, you know, that way you don't have like such a big cake. You just have these small amounts to enjoy a little bit at a time. So yeah, so we're going to be making it today. Hopefully you can give or get some as gifts. And I hope you all enjoy the recipe. Caramel first. There's so much sugar. Should I put it all in? I already reduced by half. I still think it's a bit much. So slower bubbles, and of course you can always test it using a thermometer or some water, but I think we'll just go by sight here. Still pretty quick bubbles, but it's pretty much getting there. The smell is getting quite fragrant, so we can start adding in just the rest of the water. Splatter a bit. And I added pretty close to boiling water just so that we wouldn't get all of the crystals forming. So now, I mean, it's pretty much done because I added hot water. But if you need to just boil it for, you know, a minute or so, that'll be good. So I didn't say this before, but the ratio of glutinous rice flour to sugar is usually 1:1. So 400 grams of glutinous rice flour is supposed to be with 400 grams of sugar, and that was a lot. So I only put half in, and I thought it tasted pretty good. Some of you who like it sweeter might go with 3/4 of the sugar amount. You know, have a little taste of the batter right before you're about to steam it, and you should get a pretty good idea of how it's going to taste. And the water amount is also about 1:1. So about 400 milliliters of water went in, maybe a little bit more because some of the water might get evaporated. But yeah, generally pretty easy recipe, 1:1. So these are banana leaves, and I found them at my Indian grocery store, but I'm sure other grocery stores might have it. Sometimes it's frozen, sometimes you're lucky to get it fresh. If you don't have this, obviously, go ahead, use some parchment paper instead. The banana leaves are nice because it kind of infuses the rice cake with a little bit of, tropical flair, but work with what you have. Like, some people have fig leaves, and I feel like that would be really delicious as well. So what I'm cutting is I'm just measuring the circumference of each of my cans because I'm going to line everything twice. So you just need, 2 circles, 2 sheets of something. And yeah, just make sure that they're long enough so that it covers the entire length of the can. And also a little bit more so that you can fold it down. So what I saw a lot of recipes do was heat the banana leaves over fire, and some person also did it with an iron before they line the cans. And I think the idea is that there's a lot of wax in the leaves, and by kind of pre-melting it, you kind of get that waxiness so that it doesn't stick as much to the rice cake, but at the same time, heating it makes the leaves a whole lot more malleable so that when you fold it down, it doesn't crack, it doesn't break like a leaf. And actually the feel of it felt a lot like, like those beeswax wraps. It had some memory to it because I think some of the wax was melted and then some part of the leaf was cooked. So it behaved better. So how the wrap works is we're leaving a little bit of, kind of like a big edge actually. And the idea is after the cake's finished steaming, we're going to take those edges and use that to pull the entire cake out of the tin. So you need not be too neat on this. Just make sure that within the can everything is nice and taut, because obviously any wrinkles that will affect the shape of the cake. But in terms of like the edges of the banana leaves, we're gonna cut those off. Okay, so some people put this through a sieve just to get out all the lumps. I frankly I don't mind. I think it'll be fine. But I'm sure that
just going to come back in here in case if any of you have fallen asleep. So 3 hours is actually a really long amount of time, and I thought maybe that was a little bit overkill. I thought maybe 1 hour would be fine, but I wanted to stay true to the recipe because maybe it's just a longer time to infuse. Maybe it, gives the cakes a softer texture. So for this, this is the part where we pull the leaves and the cake out of the tin. Now, sometimes the cakes might stick because obviously there are holes in the leaves. It happens, totally fine. If you pull it out when pretty much it is still warm, it will be easier to take out because obviously everything is still somewhat malleable and kind of melted. It should be set. I mean, 2-3 hours is a pretty long amount of time, so there shouldn't be a problem with that. So if you do have a problem though, just kind of heat it up with some hot water again, just around the can, and it should pull out okay. So that is the character Lu, which means blessing, prosperity, official salary, all of that good stuff. And so for my smaller two, I'm just going to top them with some jujubes. For those wondering, these can be frozen. They taste a lot like mochi. I mean, it's pretty much that, right? But in cake form, so just very chewy, soft, interesting. Flavor is quite floral, which is quite good. So I hope you all enjoyed this. Stay tuned for more Lunar New Year recipes to come. And as usual, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, support the channel on Patreon. All of that information is going to be in the description box. I'll see you again next time. Bye.